Hey guys, Tyler Mahoney here with Truman Lake Fishing Intel. We are back for another edition of the Expert Roundtable Dinner for Truman Lake Fishing Intel. We got a great crew of guys today. I've got Dylan Stocking over to my left from Get Outdoors Guide Service, Richard Bowling from Richard Bowling's Guide Service. We've got Corey Mitchell in the house tonight. He is one of the partners down at Table Rock Fishing Intel. We're excited because we're going to be shooting a little video on the water, chasing some bass here the next couple of days on Truman, and he's going to talk a little bit about Table Rock. You get to hear about that. I've got Hunter Bowling to my right, Richard Bowling's son, tournament extraordinaire, and then Darren Langford to Hunter's right, also a tournament and just general fish catching extraordinaire on the bass and the crappie.
And golf.
And golf.
Yeah, just took on golf.
We learned he's taking up golf, and he was hitting balls at the range. I think Hunter was cruising by on what were you riding?
We're on a dirt bike. Two of us on a little time. A mini bike.
And I think Hunter looked over and he had the reaction of, "Is that Darren?" And Darren looked over and had the reaction of, "Is that Hunter?" And so yeah, there you go.
It was more embarrassing for me that was Hunter than it was him on the golf.
Have you ever seen Dumb and Dumber where they ride to Colorado on the mini bike?
I did just the other day. They ride to the lake.
So we've got a great conversation to have tonight. Like we do with everything, we want to start by thanking Englishport Marine for helping to sponsor these videos and make these possible, as well as Nini's Italian Steakhouse and Catering. Another great dinner from them tonight. They're located down in Warsaw, Missouri. So whenever you're stopping in Warsaw, be sure to stop in and see them. Any member of the website gets a free appetizer when you show them your membership. And it's great food, but it's also, they do a lot of catering. So be sure to check them out for that as well. So let's get into it. We are in the middle of August. It's the heat of the summer. It's getting hot. We're going to talk about multiple species here, but let's start with just what's changing on the lake, which is some of the lake conditions. So, Richard, you've been out a lot. What lake level's coming down?
Like, from the last time we had this, it was probably about 6 feet higher than we are now. So now the lake's at pool, and all them little knotheads, I call them, are about this high out of the water, about 4 or 5 inches. So a lot of stuff to hit. Even though you got a live scope and you're live scoping fish and chase them, you're still going to run into fish or run into stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I had a buddy that came in 2 days ago, and he snagged fish trolling motor shaft, plumbing too. So
Wow.
just a lot of stuff now, right? And you're stuck on stuff with the boat, so the lake's low, a little bit low, and just get stuck, and you hit stuff with the trolling motor all the time, so you're scratching your boat up, and about 3 more feet high would be better.
Yeah,
for me.
That's what I was just going to ask. Is there an ideal lake level for you guys that you're like, man, I feel good running?
I'd like to have, if I leave it at 708, would
Okay.
be perfect for me.
708. What about for like bass fishing?
Oh, for fishing,
Yeah.
I like it low for fishing.
Okay.
Bass fishing, but we're not chasing them.
Yeah.
With live skill, you chase, when you're chasing them, you get on a trolling motor, you're going to hit stuff all day.
Yeah.
So I don't mind it down 706, 705.
Uh-huh.
You got to be pretty careful running. I mean, stuff's shallow. So
Uh-huh.
if you don't know where you're going, you better stay in that channel.
Yeah. Now, last summer, didn't we have 704 late last summer? Wasn't it pretty low?
704.98 or something's about what I
I
got.
thought it got pretty low.
Yeah, it was
Last year, yeah.
It was a good time to mark a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the lowest you've ever seen it?
Around 704. I think legally the core with the water level can only go like 3 feet below pool due to the boat, or not the boat ramps, but the marinas.
Mhm.
They'll be in the mud.
Yep. Makes sense.
The lake looks pretty clear right now. Is it clearer than normal? It seems pretty clear.
Where was you at?
We actually we're over heading to Warsaw.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the lower
On the Osage.
The lower end, it's always like that. Now up around Bucksaw, and I've been on the Osage, and Dylan has as well. It's pretty dirty up there. You can see down about 3-4 inches.
It's not as clean as.
So the upper end's always dirty, and it comes down and filters down and gets a little bit cleaner down where you're talking. We like the dirty water.
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Dirtier water. Yeah.
Who doesn't, right?
Do you ever really fish the cleaner water for crappie very much?
Try not to.
Yeah.
Numbers are better, size is smaller. I'd rather fish for, at the end of the day, if you fish down around Long Shoal or the Dam State Park, you're going to catch a limit of fish, but you're going to have a lot of 9 to 11 inch fish. And I'd rather go up there and catch a limit of 10 to 14 inch fish. This looks better. And
Yeah.
when you flay it, you get more meat.
Yeah. Now, David Townsend was telling me the other day he doesn't like fishing the cleaner water. He'll switch up his line that he's using. Do you guys, as far as the crappie goes, will you switch from that high vis braid or do you keep it the same?
I keep it the same.
Yeah.
It don't bother him at all. I bet, going to all these nationals all these years, everything me and Gary does every year, we got so much different color line, size of line, this and that. And, a lot of lakes we fish is real dirty and some is clear. Depends on where they put us that year. And we'll go buy lines. We'll try lines, see if it improves the bite. Not one tournament yet have we ever went into that day fishing that we didn't have on high vis. Don't bother me a bit.
Okay. What about on bass? Do you ever find that like braid versus fluoro? I know in those really clear lakes they talk about it, but
Well, clear lakes,
Yeah.
if you can see 20 foot deep or 30 foot, yeah, it can make a difference there. But on this lake, nothing gets, it don't get clear enough.
okay.
Even if you can see 4 or 5 foot deep, I still do the 20, 25 pound
Yeah.
braid. You can throw braid if you want. I mean, I just throw braid on top water, so it doesn't matter. I'm just reaction bite anyhow. They're not looking at it. But no, line doesn't seem to matter on this lake as
Okay.
much as it does on others.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about some crappie because it's the heat of the summer. And Richard, I know we were talking a few weeks ago. You're like, man, it's just gonna get better and better and better. What was happening before the lake went down, and then how has any of that changed as the lake has come down to normal?
Yeah, when the lake was up in them willow trees and them little bushes, a lot of the fish were up in that stuff. And that's hard to fish because it's so thick. So that kind of spread the fish out. Now the lake's come down, it's in its banks, and it's pulled all them fish to the main lake flats. I mean, if you can find a little ditch off of a main lake flat, it's going to have a lot of fish in it. Stake beds right now is the right level for them. Some of them stake beds, you'll see 10, 12 fish in them. You're not going to catch them all. You catch probably 3 of them, but it just pulled all them fish together. They don't have as much roaming room and easier to find.
Yeah. Yeah.
How much depth difference do you need in those little guts and creeks that you're talking about on those flats? Does it take much?
No.
Doesn't take much.
It'd be on the main lake flat, and you'd be coming across the flat, just island. It might be 6 feet of water, but then just a little indention it might be 7 foot. And that, if you look at your lake map, you can kind of see how it runs, and you follow that, and it makes a lot of difference. And it don't take much.
Yeah. When you guys are tournament fishing, I know a lot of times you are targeting an individual, a lot of times a roamer. When you do come up to a tree and you see a big one on it, and maybe there's another fish or two, what do you guys do to try to get to that big one? Because a lot of times those ones up above kind of can cause a little havoc going for it before you can get to the big one. So is there anything you guys do to do you catch the other two first, toss them, and then...
A lot of times that's what we do.
Yeah, okay.
They try to drive past the big one, the little one always will eat it quicker. It seems like, And there's 2 of us, so if I just catch one of you can drop right back in there and catch it. If it roams off, you can chase it down.
Gotcha. Well, that's what I was going to ask too, is if you do catch that little one, in your experience, does it spook the bigger one that might be sitting further down, or?
Not too often.
Yeah.
And if it does, they don't go far. They'll go 8, 10 feet off the tree and stop.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just right there. And they're a lot easier to catch off the tree than they are on it.
Yeah.
It really works out to benefit. But yeah, the little one, a lot of times we've dropped down and if you're using a minnow, that little one will get your minnow. But if you're using a jig, you can just let him sit there and bang on it till it gets tired of it. And then you're right there for the big one too. But that's hard to do. When one bites it,
Yeah. Yep.
Natural reaction.
I had a couple when Jeff and I were out, little babies, and they thumped it, and I'm flying into the air.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't help it. So
The guide trips, when you got them fish stuck on a tree and the bigger ones on the bottom, if you go that big sinker like they've been using, you can blow through them. Through the little fish and bring it up to that big if you don't hit him.
yeah,
Doesn't work every time, but it works a lot.
yeah. Dylan, how's the bite been for you this week?
Good.
Very good. Well, I fished both the Osage and the Grand this week.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them's been pretty good. Osage, I'm seeing a lot more fish bunched up.
Mm-hmm.
Just drop them in and sit there and hold it.
Yeah.
If they'd all bite, you could be done in 2 trees
Mm.
and be done. Grand, they seem to be a little bit more scattered. A lot better fish though, and like Richard said, just follow them ditches where they kind of dip in there, go up through them stump rows.
Yeah. How deep of water are you fishing over on the Osage?
On the Osage, oof. Anywhere from 16 to 30 foot.
Yeah.
Some of them fish. Today they seem to be, I fished over on the Osage today, they seem more up higher in the water column
Mm-hmm.
than what they had been. Some of them in the last week have been down 18, 20 foot.
Mm.
And today they were, a lot of the ones, good keepers and the ones that ate were up there 12 to 14 today.
Gotcha. Do you find that the trees, because there's a buttload of trees on Truman and the big old flats, the trees that are closer to the channel, do those have more fish on them? The ones that are further up, shallower, have more fish on them? Does that seem to matter?
Yeah, the deeper ones seem to. Today I stayed on main lake points still, even with the water there's no current, they're still on the main lake points. And I just fished a little section. I probably didn't go from back of that wall to that other wall and fished that, and we had 30 keepers.
Wow. Does it seem to matter what type of structure?
Not now.
No.
On the Grand, these fish are way shallower than that. I've been catching a lot of fish, and well, the other day they was all 5-6 feet. Today
Yeah,
it was 7 foot.
Yeah, when I went to the
And you're
Grand
talking-
the other day.
You're talking total depth of water.
Yeah, I
Take
caught
your pole and touch the bottom. Yeah.
Wow.
4 foot of water. I caught them on the Grand the other day.
And minnows are still kind of the way to go for now.
Well, it was till today.
Oh, really?
Today I got sick of them fish, man. They're trying to tell you something, and you got to read what they want. And they would chase that minnow for me out of the tree and just, nipping at it, and you can feel them, but they're not eating it, and then they turn and go right back. So after about 3 hours of that, I said, they're trying to tell us something. So I'm gonna try a little bitty jig, and I got it from Dylan. So I had a 3/4 ounce sinker on, and I put a little bitty gray jig on there. First fish I put it on, ran it right down to it, got his attention. Man, I took the rod out of the hand. I said, "Ooh, we're on to something." So I think 4 pitches, I caught 3 big fish. They went a little bitty jig, so of course my client, hey, you got another one of them? Yep. So went to town with a jig.
Now, how long is it? Is it like an inch long?
Probably 1.5 inches, but it's a real small profile.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say it's I don't know, it's smaller than 16th. I don't know where the mold come from, but it's a good.
Now, is that because you think the size of the shad that are in the lake are that size?
I think so. There's a lot of little bitty shad. You can see them on the graph. It looks like glitter on there. That's some little bitty shad or fry, whatever you want to call it. And that's what they're. When you pick a crappie up now, they crap all over you. And all over you.
Change your shorts when you get home.
Really?
Crap all over you.
Because they're just feasting.
Oh yeah, they're eating that little bitty stuff. And right now the minnows are 3 inches. They're pretty good size. You'll catch some on them over here, but that jig today was way better.
Yeah.
Did wind have any effect on that?
That's just boat control. Now the wind, no. We've had wind for the last 2 or 3 days, and the bites have been the same, but I was just too stubborn to put a jig on. I wish I'd have done it 3, because fish been doing the same thing every day for me. Get lemons every day, but you catch 1 out of 5. Now then, with that jig on today, for the 2 or 3 hours we done it, probably 1 out of 2 we caught, and they all hit it, or looked at it and wanted to eat it. So tomorrow, jig on.
Has time of day seemed to make a difference here in the last week or two? Are they biting early or late in the morning? I guess is the current. I know they're running current a little different later in the morning.
For me, it was when they was dumping all that water about 9 o'clock. I mean, for the first 2 hours, you might get 10 fish on the Grand. But after that 9 o'clock, it's like you flip the switch and then it's game on. But it's not like that now. Now it's the same. For me, doing 2 trips a day, stay up till 3 o'clock, it's the same the whole day.
Yeah, gotcha. So we kind of know, what they've been doing, how they've been acting, but now we've got new conditions, lake at normal pool. I haven't looked at the forecast. I don't know if we have any rain coming our way or
A little
not.
bit, not much.
But I guess looking forward here, late August into September, what do we expect to be doing? Hunter, what's your tactics gonna be?
As far as like tournament fishing, just like they said, the ditches. They
Yeah.
can load up. I remember probably the funnest tournament I ever fished. Me and Darren fished tournament. I think it was in September at the national deal. We caught so many
No
fish.
live scope.
In the upper grand, no live scope. I've never caught that many fish that far up in the lake.
Mhm.
You used to think there wasn't that many fish up there, but now you got the live scope, there is. But then it was just unreal. I mean, I've never seen it like that. So just find those ditches up there and, use a minnow, use a jig like that, and you'll catch the fish up there.
Okay. And you've got what tournament coming up?
Truman Lake tournament series next weekend, and then I think he's got Bass for the weekend after. Then coming up, we got like the classic for the Truman Lake fishing series, and a couple of the little ones. Then we leave for the big classic.
Yeah. Now, remind me, how many tournaments have you fished in this year so far?
Oh boy, I don't even know. This was every weekend there for a while.
Yeah.
Probably 10 to 15, probably.
And you've cashed a check in every single one except
Except one.
one.
Yeah.
Pretty good. But
You gotta have a lot of luck.
yeah,
You gotta have luck.
and I know you got a pretty good partner for most
And
of
a good
those.
partner.
Yeah, that's big.
Real good partner from the last tournament. I think I seen a video.
So when did you guys start fishing together?
Probably 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, 3 or 4 years ago. I wanted to do it. I couldn't get his dad to ever take me, so
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to try it. And Hunter had a partner, but then they just weren't into it. Like Hunter's 100%. I mean, 120% into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was ready to get into it. And I competitively bass fished heavy. I mean, all over.
Mm-hmm.
Went everywhere, and I kind of died off, and I was wanting to get back into it. I can't play basketball anymore. I'm too fat. But I wanted to, so I wanted to get back into it. So that's when we started fishing, and we kind of hit it off. We've had pretty good
They call us check getters.
check getters.
Check
We never win the big one, but we get the check.
We had a hard time winning, but we got checked.
So, gosh, you would have been early 20s when you first started with Darren
I was
then?
probably around 20. Yep, still going to college and everything.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of curious, like, have you guys ever had disagreements on the water? How do those get resolved?
I don't think so.
It's been taught well not to back talk his
Yeah.
elders.
I stay quiet.
I fished a tournament with him. He sold up in about the first hour, and I just is in my boat. I just got up, went and sitting back, and just played on the phone. He'll cool off a little bit pretty soon. And I told him, I said, Hunter, got one spot. Let me check that spot. And we're not really talking at this time.
Uh-huh.
We're just quiet as we can be. And we go up through there, and we catch a lot of big fish, and pretty soon started chirping a little bit. And
Uh-huh.
then it was all fun and games, and won the tournament.
That story you're saying, how it started off. So me and Darren, we don't fish with a chair. We're staying up all the time.
Uh-huh.
It keeps us going and going. But Dad's, we're taking his boat. He wants to take it. He's like, he's got this chair in the boat. I'm like, why do you have that chair, Dad? We're staying all day. I'm bringing a chair. He's like, thinking like, yeah, he'll bring me one then. Didn't bring me a chair.
I just sat down, went fishing. He's standing there, and of course, when you're doing that, the live scope's got to be angled where I'm running the boat, so I need it right here.
You're right.
He's up there, so he can't with that shield on it. And that's kind of where it started.
Uh-huh.
Where's my chair? That's all.
Where's my chair?
That's how it started.
But we won it, and it was a great time. But it was a couple of hours of real quiet time.
Yeah. Well,
We've never had that. He's
Yeah.
we pretty well, yeah. He pretty well stands there and runs the trolling motor, and I let him. I'm fine with it. I have to run the trolling motor all the time bass fishing, so I'm good with him running it, and it just works out. I let him drop on him, and we just go to work. It don't really matter who catches him, as long as one of us catches him.
yeah. So basically your process is Hunter drops. If they don't hit, you're right behind them.
Yep.
And just,
Usually we got different baits on.
yeah.
One of us is usually always running a minnow rig unless we can't use light bait.
Yeah.
But we're always running a minnow rig, one of us.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're, one thing we figured out, and it's happened, because I think they're getting a little smarter. The fish are getting smarter. I mean, there's a lot of them getting caught, but they want that first drop.
Mm-hmm.
They don't like that second one. That second one you got to work at a little bit. So if they're really biting that minnow rig and I'm running it, we'll change
Yeah.
and let him drop the minnow rig first. That way we just got a higher success rate. Whatever they're biting, we want him to drop.
Yeah.
Just because they get that first drop and it's not a surprise. Because once he leads them all the way to the top and they swim back down, it's a little harder to get them to bite.
Yeah. Well, and one interesting thing I noticed, and Richard, you've told me this several times, but when Jeff and I were out shooting video, there was some fish that the minnow, you could actually see it wiggling around on live scope. And the fish would come up and look at it. It just kind of like, what the hell is going on here? Why is he not swimming off in any direction? And I did your little trick of
Dunking it.
stunning it a little bit and just still bite.
I dunked a lot of minnows this week. It makes a difference. You know, you got your sinker here and you got your hook here. And you put a real lively minnow. These minnows right now is on steroids. They go to 10. So you got that, when you run that down, your sinker goes first and your minnow follows. When that minnow comes around, the minnow's sitting there, you can see him working. So that fish, when you get it close to him, you'll see him kind of puff up or whatever and come to it. And that minnow will go up top. And that fish will go up here to get it and then it'll go back down here. When it goes from here to here to here, he's gone, I guarantee you. So I've done it for years. Used to what I would do, I would put about this much water in a minnow bucket and put a bunch of ice. You know, when I run bucks on my guide trips, that would slow them way down. Wouldn't kill them, but it slowed them down. They didn't move much in the water. So I've been doing it a long time. But now instead of the ice, I hook them through the meat part of the head, and I, with that sun shield, sit down, I grab the sinker, dunk, and they'll sit there and do this. Then you put them in the water, and that fish comes up to
You
it.
fish very close to you.
Today I said a couple of bad words because I was watching a fish and Pat was trying to catch it. This one was using the minnows, and I donked one, but I donked it too hard. So minnow said, "Put it on." I donked it. That was like 2 or 3 in a row. I said, "Well, I'm doing this too hard." Yeah, we donk every one of them. It makes a big difference. I guarantee it does.
Yeah. At least you're kind of putting them out of their misery a little bit before they get whacked.
I told Pat, I
swallowed.
said, "Poor little minnow." I said, "I'm donking them in the head pretty hard. Then we're feeding them to a fish." Poor little minnow.
That is a tough life. That is for certain. So I guess the gist of moving forward, we kind of expect the bite to continue same pattern for the foreseeable future on the crappie.
It's going to be the same pattern. They're going to be very shallow, but they're going to be way more aggressive. As the water, it's going to start cooling off a little bit, and when it does, game on.
And what kind of water temps are we seeing around the lake right now?
I had
I'd say they come up the last few days.
81, 82 today.
Yeah, they're back up in the 80s. They got down,
quit.
the cool snaps we had, it got down to the upper 70s, and I think that's what really fired them up. They got them fired up, and they do that. And then, you know, they just got pretty excited. Now they're back to not so excited. But Truman Lake is a summer lake. I mean, that's just what it's always been. It's at the dead of the summer, the hotter the better. And it always has been, and the shallower they get.
Yeah.
It's just the opposite of most other lakes.
Yeah. Now you guys are, I mean, you're doing your trips early in the morning, I assume, right now.
In case you do too, but
Yeah.
still, you know, the heat they bite. It's just, if you're catching fish, you don't notice the heat. But if you go a long spell in between, then you notice how hot it is.
Yeah. You start to feel it.
Yeah, we start early.
Yeah. Well, good deal. Let's kind of shift focus a little bit, talk a little bass fishing. Darren, you've been out chasing some bass, and sounds like things might be setting up the way you like it here in the summertime.
It's really gotten good. Here all of a sudden, they're like the crappie. It drew down and it really drew them in. The same type stuff, points, ditches. They're running current points if they're not ditches, but they're shallow. I mean, I caught some. They're still on pull points too. You can catch them however you want right now. There's, if they're running any current at all, they're still out there on the pull points. Matter of fact, the last couple of tournaments been won out on the pull points. I think McCormick and them. They're deep fishermen. They're structure guys. And well, McCormick does everything, but he likes deep fishing.
Yep.
But I just went out and done what I like to do this time of year because the year's been running late all year. Everything's been running late. Spawn was late.
3 weeks to a month.
Yeah, 3 weeks to a month behind. By now, usually they're often pointing on the flats. The bass are. Well, I went to where they should be this time of year, and there was a bunch of them there. I caught a bunch of them, and they were shallow, foot to 3 foot in the water, all on crankbaits.
Yep.
Square bills. So.
Square bills.
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun to catch. Now they were a little finicky,
Yeah.
but when they decided to bite, they really knocked the fire out of it.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was interesting that you were talking about, having a target in mind. You in particular have experience on the lake, so you know, like that log, that stump, I've caught X amount of fish on. There's got to be a fish there. And you talked about 4th or 5th cast, and wham. And
there's a stump that I fished a bunch
Mhm.
every tournament. I mean, for any time from July to September, October, if we're in that area tournament, we hit that stump. I don't care what it is, we hit that stump. We will stop and hit that stump. And I pulled up on it. We don't have a tournament for a while, so I thought, well, I'm gonna go and catch one. I try to, and I threw to. I threw about 3 times and thought, well, that gun. There's not one there, and I just thought, well, I'm gonna throw it to a couple more times. 5th time, boom, caught it. But I just banging that stump with it, just burn it by, boom, hit that stump and kill it and take off, and he finally got it. But
was it a pretty good fish?
it was about 3.5 pounder. Yeah, it's a nice one.
Can you tell everybody listening where that stump is?
Yeah, I was just about to ask. I've got Google Maps pulled up right here on the lake. I'd like to drop a pin.
I can't quite remember how to get there.
Got to be on the lake to get yourself
If you
oriented.
put in a Berry Bend and you take a left and you drive about 40 to 50 miles,
Yeah.
you'll get close to it.
Well, one thing that it was really great getting out with you, and it really put things in perspective because bass fishing has been pretty tough so far this year. And the reason for that is we talked about it, Truman Lake being a flood control lake. When it's 10, 12, 13 feet high, it goes from a 56,000 acre lake to a 100,000 plus acre lake. And all the bushes get in the water, and it's just miles and miles of bushes. And it's like, man, how do you find a fish in that? And it was just very cool because getting to see Darren break it down, it was like, gosh, here we are cruising a freaking bank with bush after bush. And, you look for those anomalies, the little points in the bushes, and it's something that I've bass fished a lot. I haven't dropped into the bushes a lot like we were doing, but that was fascinating to see, and it made perfect sense. We were talking about the middle of the bush kind of being that open area, and that's where all our bites came from.
And when it's in that bushes like we did, it's too hard to find them. I mean, there's miles and miles and miles of them, and it's hard to get them patterned in the bushes. So that's where you use big sinkers, big line, and just drop it in there, and you don't waste any time.
Yeah.
Just pull it out. About 2 drops, there ain't much sense in jigging it. They're either going to hit it on the fall or they're not going to.
Yeah.
Look for the ones aggressive. Just kick the trolling motor on high and go. Now that it's down and you can see the targets and you can pattern them now, now you can pick it apart a little more. And that's what I was telling you the other day. Somebody in the back of the boat, as finicky as the fish were, would have caught more fish. And especially in a tournament setting, there's really crappie fishing. I told you we fish separate baits. Bass fishing, you fish what they're biting, both of them. Don't one of you fish one may try to make them bite something else. You fish what they're biting because they will make you hit a target more than once. I mean, my partner caught an 805 behind me one time. Crushed. It was in a tournament, so I loved it, but it crushed me because I never caught an 8-pounder. Gosh, what a giant. But, I mean, I made 4 casts to that laydown. 4. And he just, one time, behind me, boom. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. While I was netting it, I'm like, look at the size of it.
Yeah.
But it was, I mean, you just don't fish different stuff.
Yeah.
You just, once you find what they're biting, if your partner catches 2 or 3, you better be changing. Don't be hard-headed, or you're just gonna not catch none all day. That's what'll happen.
Yeah. So, from what I've heard, some of the strategies are early in the morning, you might be throwing something different until you find what they're biting on. And then...
Yeah. I'm not a big topwater guy, but early in the morning, you can throw topwater and catch them. What I like to do is if I decide that day, like this time of year, I'll have 3 rods on deck. I'll have a square bill crankbait, a jig, and a worm. That's it. And I might have 2 crankbaits, and early in the morning I might throw one a little smaller. I might throw a B2 or a B1, and then as the day rolls on, 10 o'clock sun gets up, I'll switch to a bigger one. This time of year, I do way better from 10 o'clock on.
Mm.
I mean, that's just when you catch them. I mean, that's when you catch most of your better fish. It's really not a morning thing. I mean, people catch them in the morning, you hear it all the time. And I've caught them in the morning. We just catch better fish during the day. They can fish pull out of the Roman and
get
settle in
positioned.
and get positioned, and then you can pick them apart.
Yeah.
And that's the whole deal.
Yeah. Steve Blake was telling me last week he had a heck of a day on top water.
Yeah.
On the Tebow arm, just slaughtered him.
And some of that difference is we was talking about clarity of water. It's a lot clearer down there, and I'm like Richard. I like dirty water. I don't care to fish clear water too much. And, you know, Table Rock is a big time top water lake. I mean, big time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because it's clear. I mean, fish can see it a long ways and go after it.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Table Rock, so Corey, our guest
Very
here,
nice segue, by the way.
Yeah.
Both of you did a nice job. Yeah.
He is our guest here tonight, and Corey is Eric Prey's partner on the Table Rock Fishing Intel website. So basically the equivalent of Truman Lake Fishing Intel, but for Table Rock. And we're going to be getting out and doing some fishing here the next couple days, shooting some video, and hopefully going to get some fish catches in the boat. But Corey, I was just going to have you share a little bit of information about Table Rock, what you guys are up to, and maybe just share a little bit about what's going on at Table Rock.
The lake is getting close. Is actually pooled just like here. They finally got it down. We were up a little bit through most of the summer, and I haven't been on the water since Friday. Eric and I were out. We're going to be filming again coming up Sunday and Monday. But what we're seeing is we have a lot of tournaments coming to Table Rock over the next 3 months. Like we just went through the tourist season is finally winding down for Branson, and so the tournaments are coming back. Our first one's coming, and we expect to have a lot of good derbies. And the lake is fishing. It's fickle, is what it is. When they turn on the water, just like Darren and Richard said, when they turn on the water, the fish go to a spot and they're there. When they turn it off, they scatter. They're gone, or they go in a tree. So we're pretty excited about the coming months with what we have going on as far as the derbies are finally back. I know the OMTT Championship is there. There's a National Youth Fishing event. The Toyota Tournament is there. And then that crazy Nitro Tournament is going to be there, although it's in the middle of deer season. Strange, but it's what it is. Yeah.
For $1 million and a boat,
That's
two
right.
boats and 2 trucks.
That's right. That's right.
Skip deer season.
That's right. For $1 million, you can do it. That's right. So they'll be on Bull Shoals a couple days before for that last event, and then that final one. So lots of stuff happening at Table Rock.
So how many boats will be in that Nitro tournament?
They limit it.
It's only limited to
not qualified.
It's 350, I believe.
Are you qualified?
Did you make it? Did you get in any of the events? Did you try?
No, I haven't tried because they all fell on
Other stuff.
other stuff. There is a last chance event I think I can try on Bull Shoals.
But you have to, with those, this is the interesting rules of this thing,
Yeah.
is you have to not be into another event, and then you can get into the Bull Shoals ones.
Right.
But they're hitting that tournament. The Bull Shoals one is going to be spectacular. That is perfect time. There are going to be giant smallmouth coming out of there then. It's perfect timing, early November.
I think they've had fairly good turnouts with it. I've been looking, watching it.
The craziness, I heard they had a wildcat takeoff at the event out at Lake Mead, which I've never seen one in my whole life. That was long before my time. But there were a few that were not quite full, but they were pretty close.
Yeah.
Pretty close, yeah.
So I follow the tournaments, but some of that terminology, wildcat takeoff,
It's when everybody takes off at the same
Back in
time.
the day when you wanted
That's how they
fastest
originally
boat.
started, yeah. The very first events were just everybody takes off to make it fair.
Good
Now
job,
we have
fastest boat.
now we have brains and we use flights.
I was gonna say, isn't that a little
It's not good.
dangerous?
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like it could be ripe for some accidents.
Depends on if you had the fastest boat.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
interesting. So the thing about Table Rock, there's a good population of largemouth, spotted bass, but smallmouth bass as well. Is there a particular time of year or area of the lake where you can go catch more smallmouth than others?
The lower third of the lake, pretty much from Kimberling City down, and May is when you can catch them.
Okay.
May is, if you just want to catch numbers, May and big fish, but May is the time. If you want a smallmouth, that's the time to get them. And
Yeah.
don't forget, we have meatmouth too.
Oh, okay.
So-
Now, Table Rock's a little bit different on the bass fishing. We're talking about being ultra shallow here on Truman. Table Rock could be quite the opposite. So, I mean, sometimes you're fishing, 30, 40 feet of water?
The fish are at that depth, they might be over 60, 70, 80. Eric and I have had a day this winter where we were over 120 and he caught the fish at 60 feet deep. So
Jeez.
that was in December.
So how are you catching them that deep?
That's mostly drop shot stuff. Although you can, like these guys are saying, look at them on the live scope, and if you see one in the top of a tree,
Drop shots and spoons.
that's right.
They're-
The flutter spoon is really good.
Flutter
It's
spoon's
fun.
really good.
Super fun way to catch
Especially
it.
if you're fishing docks.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Flutter
Super
spoon's
good way.
good.
Yeah, it's fun.
Freaking A, that is a lot of fun. But you said top water.
Wait. You're coming down there in a month, aren't you? You're coming to Table Rock, right?
For,
To fish? Soon?
I mean, you guys
Yeah.
gonna have me out? Because,
I think you are.
yeah, I'll be down
I
there.
think you are.
I'll be down there.
I think you
Take
are.
some live leeches in the drop shot.
That's right. I've been so busy. Yeah, my bachelor party.
There it is. Now I remember. Yeah, right.
It's taking me. We've got a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, and there will be some announcements about it. But yeah, my bachelor party's in mid-September, and Eric, it's gonna be on Table Rock. We're going out with Eric, and I don't know who's. There's gonna be another guy.
Pete Leonard.
Okay.
You need a crappie guy. He is the super freak of crappie people down on Table Rock,
Yeah.
by the way.
Well, it'll be me and a couple guys out with Eric that are the more serious guys that want to try to catch some fish. But Eric kind of said September can be a little dicey.
September is just absolutely mind-numbing miserable. It is brutal.
Time to go.
It is terrible.
Now, but Table Rock, other than the bass, and I know it's kind of like Lake of the Ozarks in the sense that bass fishing is the thing, but it's got crappie in it. It's got spoonbill. There's some good walleye fishing. What about white bass, hybrids, any of that going on?
So the walleye, I'm going to go to the walleye first. The walleye, the last couple years you catch a few. This year, I'm hearing numerous reports, seeing people with limits of walleye. So they're really doing well. The stocking program has worked well. I don't know that they're reproducing yet. I think they are, but I've heard of as many as 6 and 7 pounders caught this summer, and there was a really good stretch in the early part of July where people really caught them. There is a good white bass population. It's really dominant in the spring and fall. Crappie, it's a sleeper crappie lake. There's not truckloads of them like here, but they're really big. Yes, really big, and they will get on those dock cables and underneath those docks and in the tops of trees. And it's a little different. Obviously, it's very different than Truman, but it is a unique fishery for crappie. And you're gonna, like I said, when you're doing next month, Pete Leonard,
Yeah.
he's got some crazy homemade baits that absolutely work. So.
Well, it's gonna be interesting. Yeah, it's sad that I forgot about my own bachelor party coming up in a few weeks. But Richard, you grew up around Table Rock, so you kind of know what Corey's talking about. So tell me some stories or some fun stuff from back in the day fishing Table Rock.
And growing up, we carp fished every Friday night. Me and mom and dad. There was 8 of us kids needing something to do. And of course, we didn't have a boat. There's a marina down there, and I'm not going to say the name. I might get in trouble. We'd get down there, and we'd have a box of Wheaties and a 2-liter strawberry pop. And we knew what time that marina closed. And the dock, the water in the dock, you can cast, and when they leave, you can hit top of that dock with your sinker, cling. And if you reel it real slow, then it can fall right by that dock. If you can do that, you caught one. But the only problem is the cables. Cables everywhere.
Yeah.
So we'd line our chair. A lot of people was doing it. You'd line your chair up when all the workers, you'd watch them. They got their track left. Well, you'd half bounce sinker as far as you get it, and you'd hear twing. And you could reel it, and you could hear it coming down the dock and then fall. And we caught a lot of carp. That's what we done, and with electric blue worm. Night fish. Caught so many fish, same place, walking that. I was a kid then. I learned with that electric blue worm, you could walk up and down. Well, it was at Cape Fear where we was at. They catch so many fish.
It's about the color of your shirt.
Yeah.
That electric blue
Well,
one.
back then, that was the hot
That was
worm.
the color. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Then crappie fishing. I've seen bigger crappie out of my few years in Table Rock, bigger than Truman fish. And I'm talking big black crappie, catch them off the bank and mash holler, right there at Cape Fear. And I like around Cape Fear. I like way at Kings River. The water's a little dingier, like what our water is. And then fishing stay a little shallower. My partner's down there now. He's casting to them, but he's fishing the lower part of the Kings, and it's cleaner. And he's catching a lot of fish, but he's catching a lot of little fish. But he's catching a lot of crappie. So it's a good lake. It's a sleeper crappie lake, like he's talking.
Sleeper.
And I know they had that big tournament there, and it's kind of a cold front, and the fish were real deep. But Kings River, Cape Flat Creek,
Yeah.
that's very good
Yeah.
for crappie.
Mm-hmm.
You can go down there in the wintertime, there's .15, everybody knows about it. And you get out there and just put them on the bottom, come up one crate and just troll around and load your boat in a hurry. Every winter.
Yeah.
Every single winter.
Freaking A.
Yeah, it's a great lake. It's a pretty lake. You know, it's got a lot of docks, but it's a very pretty lake.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to fish a lot of, but I even went from here on every Wednesday night. I'd fish a night tournament, 7 to midnight, and then once in a while they'd have an all-nighter, 12 hours. And I love fishing nighttime because the fish dark. They get up underneath them docks or up there in the lights, eating them bait fish and stuff up there. Man, catch some big old fish down there at night. They do it every year. They've got a tournament on Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, somewhere down there.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a couple now on the same nights.
Is there?
Yeah, Campbell Point's still running strong and the whole deal.
I used to leave here on Wednesday at noon, pull up my boat, and me and my cousin Kevin Bowling would fish out of Shell Knob, there at Shell Knob Bridge, and he was really good on that lake. And I knew it some, but he knew it better than I did because he was still living there. And I think we won 10 tournaments in a row. That kept me going.
Mm-hmm.
If you go down there and win, then fish till midnight. The drive home because you won, you're kind of amped up.
Yeah.
Man, when you get in a losing streak, that's a long drive home. You gotta be at work at 6 in the morning.
Uh-huh.
So we had a big run, had a great time, and the night fishing down there to me was the most fun.
Mm-hmm. What do you do with all those carp?
Turn loose.
Yeah.
It just want to hit the dock and catch a carp.
I was watching a meat eater, if you know who Stephen Morel is. They had an episode on YouTube where they were debunking whether a carp tasted good or not, and they were sitting there scaling it, filleting it, fried it up, and Stephen Rinelli, he's always got a very eloquent way of putting things, but he's like, I would serve this at dinner with guests, for sure. I'd serve this for dinner. But like, he wasn't glowing about it like he does about all kinds of other stuff, but I thought that was funny. So,
Should have seen what he's eating tonight before I came here.
what was it?
A monkey.
Oh, yeah, he was down. It wasn't Guatemala. Where was that place that he was at? Because I've seen the episode where that was the one thing. If you listen to his podcast, he talks about being the most hesitant about eating.
Oh, he was very hesitant.
Yeah, and it was because he's like, man, this almost feels like I'm eating a person. Yeah.
Have you seen how they burnt the hair off it and scraped it and didn't know what it looked like?
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't eat it.
Yeah.
He ate it, but you could tell that it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It didn't look that good.
Well, for them down there, they were all like, a monkey is like the greatest thing they could get.
Well, they eat armadillo. They eat everything.
Mm-hmm.
Armadillos. They was looking for an armadillo.
Mm-hmm.
I'll send them an armadillo.
Yeah, we got plenty of those. I'm trying to think, the one Table Rock story for me that was like 10 years ago, and it was right when the paddle boards started coming out. And I don't remember where I was at. I was at one of my buddy's lake houses, but it was on a Saturday morning, and I got up early, and I was like 17 or 18, and paddleboarded across this big old cove, and I had one rod with a spook on it. And there was a tournament that day. Now I wasn't really following tournament fishing or even aware of that. And I was fishing this rocky bank, and I got to my spot, and we just cast straight down the bank, and wham, wham, top water. And then a boat would come around, and I'd watch them fish it and not catch a fish, and I'd just keep catching fish in front of them. And I caught 7 or 8, and there was 2 boats that came by, and you could tell they were just kind of really annoyed that this dumbass freaking kid on a paddleboard
Was ruining their day.
Well, yeah, that's exactly right. But me, not really knowing better at the time because I didn't follow tournament, just completely oblivious. I was just fishing.
Right.
So, but it was
You're fine.
It was pretty funny, but also one of those moments where you're like, it was secretly kind of gratifying because you knew you were catching fish and you were watching them the whole time and you didn't see them catch one. But anyway, so good times. But no, that's a lot of good stuff with Table Rock. I did want to touch on, and I know Jeff's a lot of times our catfish guy and Cody and whatnot, but the catfish, Richard, you've been hearing, flats and
Flats drifting, the main lake flats. You've got the right water on it now, about 8, 9, 10 foot of water.
Yep.
Fresh bait, cutting chunks, and get up when just drift across the big flats.
Yeah.
Float them baits up about a foot off the bottom and cover water.
Yeah, and it sounds like you can pretty much duplicate that pattern pretty much
All over.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me myself, I'd be way up in Sparrowfoot area. But I know that Cody's catching down by the dam. He unloaded today, I believe it was.
I think he might have gone up towards Tally Bend.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, but what he told me down the lower lake, there's a lot of suspended fish,
Yeah.
and so it's kind of hard to get them on a rod and reel. So
Lord.
yeah. So that bite is on. They're catching good eaters. Cody had a lot of good ones today. And as far as the hybrids and white bass, with the lake at normal pool, it sounds like they're setting up on all the usual haunts down there on the lower end.
A lot of flats, a lot of homes and stuff.
Yep.
Surfacing morning and night.
Yep. Are you seeing that up in the Grand or the Osage?
Not. I seen some surface myself on the Grand, but Sean, or my oldest boy, he's been taking last Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. He was right there by the marina on a kind of a shortcut little point. A lot of current goes around, and you could go through there and shoot it with a side scan. It was full of fish, white bass. All of it was white bass, except a bunch of walleye.
Yeah.
So they caught their limits of white bass, and in 3 days they caught 11 walleye. You know, on the spoons. They lost 2 or 3 beside the boat.
Yeah.
So, but that was with current. Current's gone, fish are gone.
And as we get further into fall, those white bass and hybrids will push up pretty shallow.
Yep, yep. You get in October, they'll be a foot of water.
Yeah.
And that's when it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of good things going on around Truman Lake, as always. And if you can brave the heat, there is fish to be caught.
Yeah.
So.
And there's not a lot of boat traffic.
Yeah.
In the heat.
Yeah, that's actually, I was going to ask how boat traffic had been this week. I know last week it was a little busy.
This week on the Grand, that's on the Osage, and there's more traffic on the Osage than there was on the Grand. But it wasn't, 5 or 6 trucks was it? that
Yeah.
go around. I don't know, how was it today? Same thing.
There's 3 or 4 boats over there.
Yeah, there's nobody.
Yeah.
Why is that? I mean, this lake is wonderful in the summer.
It is. It's going back to that bite. The bite's good if you got a live scope. You understand how to catch them. But if you don't have it, and just had to go fishing, it might work on you a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to go out, if you go down my long show, you can catch all the fish you want because they're on them flats and they're in the trees like Dylan was saying on the Osage. But there are a lot of little fish. You can see big fish in there, but you can't get to them. If you got a pontoon or a small boat, you go down, put in a long show, go either way, stay within a mile. And you'll go through a bucket full of minnows in a little bit. But, that's catching a lot of little fish too. To go out and just catch a whole bunch of keepers, you got to know what you're doing.
No.
So hire a guide or become a member of Truman Intel.
Fishing until you learn a lot. Everything we shared is true.
Yeah. Well, we get a lot of, for those who are watching this that are maybe only a free member, you can check out the Facebook reviews. The folks that are paid members get a lot of value, and these guys, we're not talking spots, but don't sit there. I know we were kidding Darren earlier about wanting to know where that stump was, but we don't give out GPS coordinates. We're never going to do that unless someone is feeling really generous one day. But it's all about providing the best patterns possible so that when you get on the water and you're looking at your graph and looking at the depths of the water and looking at what the current's doing, you can see that real-time information and apply it to what you're doing when you get out there. And a lot of the members have, in fact, we had a member the other day talk about how he won. He didn't win the tournament, but he got second place in his bass tournament because of reading information on the website. So we get stuff like that written into us quite a bit. And so if you haven't, consider becoming a paid member. And for those of all of you guys that are watching, we'd love if you share and this with everyone and let everyone know the kind of information we're putting out, because we're just trying to keep getting better and better, and it's all a result of these guys putting in a lot of work and being willing to share the information. So unless anyone else had anything else to add on a final note, I guess the one thing we wanted to say was safety concerns right now with the lake at normal pool.
Yeah.
Be extra cognizant. I know we touched on it briefly, but
A lot of stuff showing.
Yeah.
Very good time to go out, take your time, and mark a lot of stuff with your graph. Set some waypoints.
Yeah.
Very good time.
yeah. Well, good deal. Well, thank you guys all for being here. We want to thank Englishport Marine again and Nini's Italian Steakhouse and Catering. We got Dylan Stocking from Get Outdoors Guide Service, Richard Bowling from Richard Bowling's Guide Service, Corey Mitchell from Table Rock Fishing Intel, Hunter Bowling, who also helps with Richard Bowling's Guide Service, and Darren Langford, professional angler, and
That just wants to go fishing with Richard Bowling's guys.
That's right. So you can find all of these guys on the website. So if you're looking to book a trip, you can go to our expert section and get a hold of them. But as Darren has experienced, you better give them a call because they get booked out for
Yeah.
It's been 5-6
5
years.
quite a while.
I think
But
there's more to it than being booked.
that's exactly right. But anyways, guys, thanks for following along with us. We appreciate it, and we will look forward to catching you on the next one.